weather seems kind of sketchy today actually, and there's a bit of redness too. Could be because of the fireworks smoke from yesterday maybe. With that in mind, what did I read today? How about this one? It looked kind of interesting in terms of a drone. It seemed like it was taking a lot of inspirations from nature in terms of how animals could cling on to things, I guess like a tree. This one says, Crash-Perching on vertical poles with a hugging wing robot. I've seen ones that cling onto walls, and it's always interesting to see, I guess, the different types of designs and approach. And this one says, perching with winged unmanned aerial vehicles has often been solved by the means of complex control or intricate appendages. Here, we present a method that relies on passive wing morphing for crash landing on trees and other types of vertical poles. Inspired by the adaptability of animals and bats' limbs in gripping and holding onto trees, we designed dual-purpose wings that enable both aerial gliding and perching on poles. With an upturned nose design, the robot can passively reorient from horizontal flight to vertical upon a head-on crash with the pole, followed by hugging with its wing to perch. We demonstrate crash perching on tree trunks with an overall success rate of 73%. The method opens up new possibilities for the use of aerial robots in applications such as inspection, maintenance, and biodiversity conservation. It makes me think too, because obviously the intent here at first is to land per se on certain areas like a tree, but will people actually use this to, let's just say, capture some kind of wildlife that they want? For example, let's just say there's an injured bird or something like that, and they really want to capture it for some kind of study. Could you actually use this to cling on, I guess, to whatever animal it is that they're going after, or at the same time just using it as a way to get rid of things like pests and all that? I wouldn't be surprised actually, but either way, it's kind of an interesting, I guess, application in terms of different types of ways to create drones and the way they function. And speaking of drones actually, and how I mentioned earlier, there was actually a fireworks show yesterday. They have this fireworks competition usually annually here, and it says here, for example, there was supposed to be a premiere of the electric drone show. So it says attendees can watch the choreographed drone displays light up the skies 9:50 p.m. So it was supposed to be before the fireworks show, but apparently it was canceled. And trying to find out, okay, what exactly happened, because the weather was actually really nice, but apparently the issue related to all that, I guess, crashing that happened worldwide with Microsoft operating systems and so forth. That's what they claim. I'm like, how's that even related to this in many ways? Wouldn't you have your own, for example, local program to make all these drones run? You have some kind of backup. But I just thought that was interesting, where in this case as well, there's been so many stories of drone light shows just not being prepared, I guess, technically. Can you imagine in this case if that was actually the feature of the show versus the actual fireworks show? So once again, I guess we're not quite ready in a lot of places, to completely replace things like fireworks. And then this came in the news today where it talked about how in terms of things like flight delays, at first I thought, again, it was related to that huge software crash of Microsoft operating systems, but apparently here in Vancouver, there's a lack of staff doing air traffic controls is causing delays and so forth. So it's kind of interesting. This one says, shortage of air traffic controllers causes periodic flight delays in the past year. Vancouver International Airport has been hit with delays on at least a half dozen days in the past year because of a shortage of air traffic controllers. Navigation Canada, which oversees the country's air navigation system, announced Thursday that delays were affecting several flights due to a shortage of controllers. So it makes you wonder why. Is it just that nobody wants to do the job? For example, it says the association has been urging the government and Nav Canada to take steps to address this shortage, and the company has responded by increasing efforts to recruit and train more controllers. Now, one challenge they mentioned is how it's difficult to train people, I guess, to do the job, but at the same time, I remember just a few years ago, actually, there were news about how Nav Canada were cutting a lot of jobs because of things like the shutdowns and all that. It says some of the staffing issues date back to the COVID pandemic, when Nav Canada cut 720 job cuts, about 14% of its workforce. It also halted its training program. Air travel plummeted during the pandemic and is only now returning to pre-pandemic levels, according to Statistics Canada figures. That would actually make me wonder too, where if they actually just laid off all those people and now things are returning to normal, can they not just approach everyone that they laid off before saying, hey, would you like to work here again? Wouldn't that be a possibility as well? What would be worse for them? Having all these software glitches, for example, with the Windows OS at the moment, or having basically, again, just a problem with getting talent to actually do the job? All right, see you guys later.